part of your assignment. We agreed we will do some practical on this. Yes, Hashim.
Hello, there are some students who have requested to join the class. Can you add them?
They should just accept the meeting the way you have accepted the meeting.
They haven't received emails. The email.
Means then they have not done, they are not in the groups that you gave me. So why do they want to join?
Okay.
Because I used the list that you gave me.
Yes.
Yeah, so if somebody is in that list, it means they even don't have the coursework already.
Okay.
So I don't know where have they been, because I used the list in the groups.
I'm not sure about that.
Do you know them?
Yes. Actually.
You know, they are disturbing us because I used the list that you gave me. So they should just check that list, which you had given me, a list of.
Yeah. The list. I remember that.
Yeah, so you give me a list, and that list has about 60 something students
Okay.
with groups.
Yes.
So it means these other ones have not done any homework. So they've not been attending class. So why do they want to attend class now? Unless they let them give you their emails if they had not filled in.
Okay. Let me check on that.
Yeah, then you'll paste there. I'm not admitting anybody. Let them just accept.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So apologies for that. I don't like online because I have to keep on changing from one screen to another to ensure that things are okay. So we talked about networks, our social networks, and of course, a number of us, the various groups, we were able to demonstrate the kind of social media people use. And so because of that, you find then there's the concept, that there's some networks within the social media. And so that subset is a very interesting subset for data analysis. Given that a lot of people are connecting online, sharing part of their lives online. And so those networks are important. I know you have done a little bit of networks, so you know how the networks are. and things like that from your machine learning and all that. So you already know what a network is. And so the example that we gave here is just an example of when you want to access materials online. We normally go to the library, the University of Nairobi digital library. You select, there are very many journals that you can select through. So you can imagine after you select a journal, depending on when a journal began to be published, then it means there are very many volumes, and within each volume, then there are many articles. Yeah? So that then shows you how you actually go through a network, or even just a simple website. You're able to see the linkages that are there from one page to another page, or from one organization to another organization. And so because of that, and because of the growing presence of Hashim, when you're ready, just paste there and raise your hand. I'll be able to add the students. So because of that, there's lots of interest in analyzing that data. So it's just really a subset of data analytics, more from the perspectives of those who like to study social issues and are interested in the social issues. So because of that, and I think we saw during one of the applications we saw during the lockdowns of COVID was the contact tracing. If you think about contact tracing, it was essentially about the social networks of the various persons who had interacted with
Hey, Ashim, hebu mwambie bundle zimeisha or something because she has dropped off.
Sawa.
Stima zimepotea shule. Nimesikia generator iko. Acha tupatie kama 5 minutes.
I don't know what happened. It looks like the network here in Chiromo has an issue, but I don't know where I lost you. But I think I was just explaining the concept the interest for social analytics being more about people and being able to see the relationships between the people. And I was giving the example of during the lockdowns where um, the mapping or the social mapping of who had contacted who became a very important one. And that was just an example. You could actually draw a network through the contacts or through the contact that people who had been who had contracted the disease. So you were able to see who did they interact with. Yeah, so the relationship there was the interaction. And so you're able to see that. And one of the things is that with this kind of data analytics of these networks, you can actually look at them visually or actually use graph theory. And I know you did a little bit of some graph theory in the course of your work. So you actually use this to be able to see the relationships and be able to see the patterns within the social network, which is of interest to the researcher. So it's essentially about the relationships, the interactions, and the communications. And so you are able to see if the network of one of you is of interest, then we are able to collect data about the relationship that is of interest, and we're able to structure it and see what kind of pattern is emerging. And at this point, it is really more about the relational space that is of interest. Who are you relating to? And this is very important because it means then from a social science perspective, you're trying to understand a group of people or a community of people. And depending on what you're interested in, then you can actually plot out and see who are the opinion leaders, for example. And so it's used a lot like for development projects. Before you go to an area with a proposal and all those other things, you might find that the organization that wants to bring in an intervention will carry out a research to be able to find out who are the opinion leaders in that community. And once they know the opinion leaders, it is assumed that that person has some social influence onto the community, and they are able to maybe perhaps use him to influence the outcome of the negotiations that they want to have. It's also been documented and used in terms of curbing crime, where the governments are able to use the networks of any interested person who is committing an offense, or maybe perhaps they're in a group. They're actually able to find out who is the leader, or who is in that group, who do they frequently talk to, and all that, and they are able to actually curb crime. If it is in forms of, like the example we gave of diseases, if there is an outbreak of a disease, you are able to map out and find out, for example, who visited a certain hotel or who has been in a certain location, and that location, maybe there's an outbreak of cholera, for example, and they are able to map out who maybe visited a certain facility or an eatery, and they try to find where they are so that they can actually be treated. Yeah? So it's very applicable in some of the interesting things that researchers are able to want to understand in terms of people relations. So the graphs themselves, or what we see as a graphical presentation of the relationships, is actually referred to as a sociogram. It's a sociogram, which actually portrays who are the actors and the relationships that they have. And the relationship is actually sometimes with some arrows or sometimes without the arrows. So we'll shortly see the difference between a relationship with an arrow and a relationship without an arrow. And the metrics that are of importance is issues to do with the distance. We'll also see the issues to do with the weighting of the relationship or even the centrality, which node or which actor seems to be at the center, or which actor seems to be like a bridge between two groups. Those are the things that are of interest to the researcher. Yeah, and so that allows, as you draw the graph or as you render the graph, you are able to visualize the patterns. You're able to see who is at the periphery, who is at the center, who is a bridge, and the weights of all those things that are there. So those are some of the things that we are looking at or are of interest in a sociogram. Which actors are at the center? Which ones seem to be um, on the outside, maybe perhaps they're not fitting into the social network or whatever, or the distance between other actors, the number of interactions, depending on what it is that you're looking at. Those are some of the things that are of interest to in social analysis of or in the network analysis of sociograms. So this is, you're looking more at you're not what is of interest is the patterns around the connections. Yeah, so what is important is who is this person or who is this node is of more importance than knowing how they have actually created the nodes or how they went about. So you're trying to figure out what node is of importance in the graph, what position they may be significant. If this position or if this node removes itself from the network, are we going to lose a sub-network or a group of actors within that network? So those are things that are of interest. And a lot of researchers have been able to use the patterns of networks and mapping it to marketing efforts for their commerce activities. Yeah. So the location is important of the person that or of the network is very important, because it means that that person is able to create a network to or a path to the other subgroup. Yeah? A path to the other subgroup. So we are actually looking at being able to create a graph or a network from the relationships that we are analyzing. So these are the terms that are used. I'm sure you guys have been in the use of social media for a while. You are more enlightened in that. So you could consider yourself as an actor. Yeah. So if you look at social media platform that you typically use, you could consider yourself as an actor, and the other persons that you connect to are also actors. And then there's a relationship. So you could see that maybe perhaps you are following somebody, or somebody is your friend, or another person, you're following their tags, or you've commented on their videos, depending on what it is that you are interested in. So you'll find that terms of actors or in other textbooks or in the material, if you're going to research on some of this, if it is of interest to you, you'll start seeing issues to do with the nodes. Nodes is actually an actor, but on the graph itself. And then you have the relationships depicted as a line that is joining two nodes, and therefore becomes what we call an edge. Yeah, an edge. And so the nodes, in our case, we will be looking at people. We shall, I think there was a time I gave an assignment, and one group decided they want to go and do an analysis of movies instead of actually looking at an analysis of the actors. Yeah. who are within the movies. Yeah, so we will focus on people as opposed to the other aspects, which could be institutions, which could be videos, which could be music, music, an audio file, and things like that. So for our practical assignment, please remember, we shall be looking at people and their networks. Yeah? So these are examples of some of networks and the language that is used. This is a simple relationship. When you have a hyperlink, it links you to another page. Yeah, so it creates a network of pages. But this other one here shows you the terminologies that are used. Yes, Adrian.
There's some time back when Netflix introduced an aspect in movies whereby you could choose to follow a particular character inside the movie. And then now when you select a particular character, the scenes that would come after that selection would go on the scenes that are specifically about that character. So like the movie had like 10 storylines, but you could follow a storyline of one character. I don't know if this falls still in the same realm.
If it
Falls in the same realm that we are talking about.
Yes, it would then depend on if you were to analyze that such kind of data, then you'd actually be looking at how many people are connected to a specific or are following a specific character in a certain movie. Yeah, so that you then see a network. So you find then what is being rendered to you are a network of scenes that particular character is uh, is playing. So like in Twitter, yeah, in Twitter, which became X, I don't know, I think now that it became X, what do you call the tweets? It's time to be updated. It's time somebody updated me so that I can also update my notes. So what do you call them nowadays? Spaces or what? Or just still tweets? Edwin, your hand is still up, so you will answer me.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I
think
believe
there's posts or
called
something.
posts. Yeah,
They are called
posts.
Posts.
posts, so they are no longer tweets. Okay, okay, I will edit that. So you can see that if you are on Twitter, the users are those users, and those they tag can be nodes depending on what it is that you're looking at. And of course, an actor can have very many other attributes that you want to discuss on the ages or the the number of followers somebody has, the date they joined. Those ones may be attributes that are important, and you may not really be wanting to find if they're of any importance. It's just that it is an attribute of the data that is of importance, and you can actually add them if you think it is going to add to make more weight to your interpretation, but sometimes you really don't have to add. So for example, it may not matter if I am your follower on X, the date I joined. What is more important is I am your follower. Yeah. So some of the things that data collects, and I'm sure all this data is available. I see nowadays because of data protection, it's become a little bit difficult also to get some data from the social media. And so each one of us will have maybe to collect data of their own, so that we are able to have a data set that each group then can be able to analyze. Yeah. So these are the ages which actually represent some kind of relationships. And the ages, as we said, they connect to, yeah, and it's something that you represent something that is agreeable. So, for example, if you have two people who are friends in Facebook, the connection or the tie is that they are friends. Yeah, or if you have followers, those are the connections that are there. This is just to explain the definitions of these things. Yeah. So this the connection itself can be directed or undirected. Yeah. So indirected, it means then you can see it from one node to another. It starts from a specific node and it is ending to another to a specific node. And it doesn't mean that they are reciprocating one another. So A may be connected to B, but B is not connected to A or may not be connected to A. So you could actually, the example given there is that when you tag a person in a post, I should change that to read a post, that relationship is directed. So you who is tagging that person, you are the starting node, and the other person you have tagged is actually the ending node. In undirected, then you don't have the arrows. You will later see that in some of the tools, directed means you will see an arrow on the end of the line, but in the undirected there are no arrows. Yeah, so it just means there is um, a reciprocal relationship. So A is connected to B and B is connected to A. And the example given there is about Facebook friends. Yeah, it is assumed. So if I log on to my Facebook page and I am a friend to Hashim, when Hashim logs into her Facebook page, she will see me there as her friend, the same way I'm seeing her on my end as a friend. And it is mutual. It's a mutual relationship, so there is no origin or destination. It's not clear who asked for the friend request. It is not clear, but all it is clear is that we are friends on the social platform. Yeah. Now, depending on what it is of interest that we are looking at, then these lines or the relationships, the age can be weighted or unweighted. Yeah. So when it is unweighted, it just means that it just indicates there is a relationship. Yeah. When it is weighted or you see a line drawn with some values, it actually indicates the strength of something. So it could be maybe perhaps a researcher is looking at the number of messages we have exchanged. Maybe perhaps they get a hold of our WhatsApp data, and maybe they are looking at the number of messages that perhaps I have Hashim's number. How many messages have I sent to her? Then if the arrow is coming from me to her, it will show the number of messages that I have sent to her, and so that in itself is a weight for that. Yeah. So the example given there is friends in Facebook, maybe perhaps looking at the number of comments they have made or they have exchanged on a photo. Yeah. Or maybe the duration, how long they have been friends since they became friends on the social media platform. That could be of interest to see. How long have we been? Sometimes Facebook reminds you that you have been friends for 5 years, but in a sense, you've been friends for 5 years on the Facebook platform, but outside the social media network, perhaps you've been friends more than that. Yeah? So I don't know, this one here is something that is not showing. Just allow me to check why it is not showing. is where we are, awaited. Looks like there's one page. I don't know where it is going. Okay, I guess you will check that on your notes when you receive that. There are challenges with technology. So one of the other things that you may find in the graphs is a loop, yeah. And we see the self loops. Sometimes, if you think like in email, when you email yourself a draft something, is because maybe you want, or you're emailing yourself something, you want to have a copy of that. Or when you send yourself a WhatsApp message, it means you have actually done a self loop. So sometimes you'll see those things in the graphs. Yeah, this is what should have come before the previous slide. So here you can see there's a nice reference that I used. You can also read that, and I think the author has a channel which you can also read. So you can see this is the self loop there, a self loop, awaited age. This is reciprocal. It means the two are communicating. So like the example I was giving, if we're analyzing maybe the number of um, of um, messages, you might find then that you have a message from one actor to another actor shown, and also from this other actor to another actor shown. So you'd have the weights on both. Yeah, but this is a reciprocal. This is a directed. You can see the direction, and this is undirected. And these are just the terminologies that are used in the in the graphs. Yeah. So you can also use a matrix to represent the data, where you can actually have ones and zeros that are represented. Where there's a relationship, you put a 1. Where there is no relationship, you put a 0. Yeah. If you are going to represent a weighted matrix, it means then where there is instead of putting a 1, you put the number of weights, yeah, depending on what it is that you're looking at. If it is the number of phone calls, you put the number of phone calls instead of a 1. Then you'll have a weighted matrix. Yeah? Or you can use an age list, just listing out all the ages, or you can have the visual presentation. So this is a slide that is showing you, this is here a matrix where you can see we are looking at 3 persons, that is Anne, Bob, and Carol. There's no relationship between, Anne is not doing any self-looping, so there's a 0, but she has a relationship between Bob and Carol. Bob, there's no relationship, or the age itself is directed. Yeah, so you can see that Bob is not connecting to Anne, but it is Anne connecting to Bob and Carol. So you can see this a representation of this in a matrix, which is the same represented in a age list, where we have Anne with Bob, Anne with Carol, and Carol with Anne. Yeah. Now you can see here, this is a directed graph where Anne has a relationship with Bob, and you can see the arrow. Anne has a relationship with Carol. Yeah. And then Carol also has a relationship with Anne. Yeah, but Bob, there's no arrow, or there's no directed arrow or directed edge from Bob to any of the two. So that is just a simple way of understanding the way the presentations are done in terms of the matrices, or the way the different things that are presented. So another example of this in the next slide is just some that are different. So you can see this one here is undirected and unweighted. There are no weights. But this here is an undirected and it is weighted. Yeah? Now, if you compare with this one, you can see this one is directed but weighted. Yeah? It's directed but weighted. So you can see that between this node and this node, the direction is that way and the weight is 3. Between this node and this node, the direction is this way and the weight is 4. All depending on what a researcher is interested in researching. Yeah. Now, in this other one, you can see here is that you have this graph here, and then you also have this small one here. So when you include this one to this one, if you just wrote it together like that, then you can see it becomes like a disconnected graph, because this one here is disconnected from this main one here. Yeah, so it becomes a disconnected graph. Yeah. Then you have a complete graph, like this second example here, where all the nodes, yeah, all these nodes have connections with each other. Yeah, so you can see here that this node here has connections to the rest. This node here is connected to all of them. So this is a complete graph. Yeah. Then the term click, as normally we have this, I'm sure you've observed them, like in classes, you have groups or groups of people. So you also have them in the diagrams. Yeah, you can see that there's a click here, and this click here has four nodes to it. Yeah. So when you look at a click as given there, it means that you're actually looking at groups of maximum density. So you can see here, this is a click of 4. And it also has 5 3 clicks. Yeah, 5 3 clicks. Mm. So your homework is when you get this, try and figure out the 5 3 clicks. Try and identify them. Yeah, which is actually just triangles joining three vertices. You should be able to identify them. Then you can see this is a path. So you're looking at when you look at this distance, the distance from here, it has 3 to here. The distance from this cell to this cell, you have 1 2 3. Yeah, and that's why the path there is a distance of 3. Yeah, this one is a component on its own. It's disconnected to this graph. Now, if you look at this cell here, or this node here, yeah, this node here is actually acting as a bridge. Yeah, if you remove this node here, you actually disconnect this side of the graph. Yeah, So that's why it's called a bridge. And so that just some interesting aspects of people. And it's important, just coming back to this, yeah. Sometimes you find that this person, the bridge person, is in some research you find that this is actually the person who is connecting. So if this person had if for example we brought this component and joined it here, you'd see that this person is connecting these other people here through these two nodes, and you are able to connect to this. And so you find this person here in the middle here is critical. If you want information to be disseminated, then this person is able to pass that information that way, and also that person is able to pass the information on this other side. So that's why we talk about the networks being interested in the people, the person they are connected to. Yeah, is what sometimes you'll find some of these networks being referred to as egocentric networks, because they are focusing on the people, and the persons that they are connecting to are referred to as alters. Yeah. So the example given there is that on your own personal network, yeah, you yourself would be, when you create that network for yourself and you map it out to see who your friends are and the friends of your friends, then you yourself are becoming, that network will be perceived to be an egocentric network, because you are the ego that we are interested in, and all the other people are connected to you. So these are examples of email communication, which has been used in the, just to illustrate the examples that we have there. So you will find then that A is communicating with X. Yeah, A is communicating with X. These are outgoing emails where you have A has communicated with W and X, from A to W to X and to Z. Yeah, this arrow should actually face to the Z. Yeah. So you can see how the emails or the messages from A are going within those networks. Yeah. And this is also another example where you can just see the different types of networks that are there. So one of the things that we look at is a degree, the concept of a degree in a network or an egocentric network, whereby a degree in itself, it means 1 degree is you and the next person you are connected to. Yeah. Then 1.5 then would be you are connected to the next, the way the ego network is connected, it means it is 1 degree to the next person that you are, maybe that other person you are not connected to. So you find like the first one is about you are connected to that person, you're 1 step away from that person. And then the 1.5, it means then that you you are able to see who the other person is connected to, or who the alters are are connected to, then that becomes a 1.5. So that it's like in Facebook, it would actually be like which friends know one another. You have friends, you're connected to friends, but at the same time, which friends know one another. Yeah, so I think if we look at the diagrams, they may be in a better position to illustrate that point of the degrees. Yeah. So like in this particular one, you can see it is a 1 degree. It means then it is looking at anyone who is one step away from D. So if this is the network, a 1 degree network is this one here, yeah, which shows this is D, and this one is one step away. Each one of them is one step away from D. You'll see that it does not include F, and it's not including O. I think that is O. Yeah, those two are not included. Yeah, so when it is a 1 degree, it's only those who are one step away. Now, if we are looking at 1.5, yeah, 1.5, then you are actually looking at which of your friends also know each other. Yeah, which of your friends know each other. So you can see here you have the D. Yeah, you have D. If this is your start, so which of your friends know one another? You will see A and E know one another. Yeah, A and E know one another. E and B know one another. B and C know one another. C and Q know one another, and Q and E know one another. Yeah. So this one here is drawn without the D inside there, just to show you that these are the friends. This is actually the 1.5, but this is helping you to get the point correct. And then you have a 2 degree, then it just extends the 1.5, such that you are also including the friends of friends. So the friends of friends, you remember F and O were not in the previous charts, and so now they are included here. So essentially this would be 2 degrees where you have included the friends of friends who are not necessarily, some of whom may not be connected to the ego, but they are connected to some of the friends of the ego, to the altars of the ego. So that is a 2 degree. Yeah, so that is also important for for network. I mean the social network analysts to just understand how are people connected to one another. Then you have different types of networks again, which could be partial networks, and sometimes you have complete. We have seen an example, but in reality, even as you come to draw some of these things, sometimes getting a global network down is never easy, either because of missing data or you're not really able to have all the data to complete the chart, and it may never actually fill in, the space that you have. Yeah? Even when you are drawing on your screen, it may not be able to reach there. But those are some of the definitions. When you have a partial network, then it means you have some information and you are able to reach some of the contacts. And of course, a complete would mean you have all data on all actors within that boundary, and you can actually draw the boundary. Yeah. So one of these would be if we tried actually to draw the friendships in amongst all you in class, it may not actually be possible to even put it on a paper, on a piece of paper. Either we may not have a complete set of it all. So these are examples just showing you drawings of a whole network, partial networks, and ego networks for your reference. So as you do your own research, you may come around the definitions of what we call unimodal network. That is, you're actually looking at the same entity. Yeah, the same entity. So if it is people, it is just people. Yeah, you're not looking at people and documents. Yeah, so it is one mode network. Multimodal is when you're looking like the question the gentleman was asking. If you were to draw, you then have to ask yourself, do you want to draw just users who are actually looking at one actor, or are you looking at an actor with their movies that they have been able to act and who has been following what? Yeah. So I think for our class, we will do a little bit more of the unimodal networks just to be able to understand the concepts that we are looking at. So these are examples or illustrated again through the reference, the first reference that I gave you. You may actually look and see how you can actually transform a multimodal network to a unimodal network so that you are able to perform better analysis. Yeah. So you can see here where you have different nodes. You have these three different nodes. They look different, and then you have they're actually connected to other different things. You know, these ones are different, so you can see that these are actually different entities interacting. So you could actually be looking at, maybe this is a movie with different actors, and the actors are maybe in this one actor in these movies, this another actor in these movies, this another actor in these movies. Yeah. And here maybe you're only looking at their same. You can see here it's not colored. Yeah, it is not colored. It's not colored. Yeah. And this one, you can see this if you look at this two mode network, you can actually draw it this way, or you can also draw it this way. You can see here it's showing that these three are not connected to one another. Yeah, these three are not connected to one another, but they are all connecting to some of these ones which are the same. Yeah, like this one is the same. This one is connected by two of them. This one is connected with two of them, like that. Yeah. So some of the other measures that are important, and we will not go into the mathematics of getting them, but some of the tools that you use, you will see they actually give you some of these matrices on the output windows. So one of the things that we look is the vertex count, which is the number of entities in the network. The edge count is just the number of lines or connections. Then the density, it looks at the set of vertices, captures how connected a set of vertices are by calculating the percentage of connections that are observed from maximum possible count if everyone was connected to everyone. Yeah. So you might find that this you're given, you see that these statistics normally are given by the tool. Then centrality is important because it measures the important vertex or the important node within the network. It's always very important to look at this centralization because it means then that amount or that node is an important node. Then we have the concept of degree centrality, which is a count of the total number of connections linked to a vertex. Yeah? You can look at it like a popularity measure. But you may actually, it doesn't necessarily measure the quality of the tie. It's just like a popularity measure. Yeah. Then the other one that you might see in those tools is the degrees, which is the total number of edges connected to a particular vertex. If it is directed, you might actually see in degrees and out degrees. Yeah? So in is those ones that point inward and outward. Yeah? Then the path. Remember we looked at some, the first we're looking at the path. There's an example where the graph was showing the path of 3. So one of the matrices that these tools also count is the path that is the shortest path between two people, which is called the geodesic distance. Yeah. And then there is also sometimes what is actually referred to as betweenness centrality, of how one node lies on the shortest path between two other vertices. Yeah? So it means it actually can be thought of as a bridge scope, that if you remove that path, that node or that person or that vertex, you're actually going to be disrupting the connections between other people. And we saw that in the diagram that I gave you, that we looked at in the introductions. Yeah? So this is an example, again, from the reference document that I have put in the previous slide. It is a nice document to look at, just to understand some of the things that are there. So this first one here, if we look at this first one here, and we look at degree centrality, yeah, so we look at which node seems to have the highest connections, yeah. So this one here, you can see has 3, like that. If you look at this one here, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one here, A, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So it seems that A has many connections here in this particular one. Yeah. Now, if you look at this other one here, average distance to all other vertices, yeah, closeness centrality, how far are all the vertices of the graph from each other? So the one who has the smallest average distance here seems to be C. Yeah, if you look at C here, yeah, it seems to have the lowest, yeah, the average distance to all other vertices. Yeah. Now, if you look at this B here, B seems to be on the shortest path. Yeah, and you see, if you remove B here, you actually have removed this other portion of the network there. Yeah. You'll have removed this portion of the network there. Yeah. So if you look at the B here, you know, he's seems to be connecting. You know, he's like connecting this portion here. This portion here. So if you removed him, this would drop. Yeah. This would drop, which is larger compared to if you removed this one. Yeah. If you removed this one, then only 2 would be dropped. Only this portion here would be dropped. So B here seems to be the bridge. So a lot of these matrices, you will find them calculated. Of course, there's the mathematics behind those factors in the software tools that people use. You'll find them there. Yeah. And then you have the term closeness centrality, which means it's a measure which is an individual's position in the network by a different perspective from the other network. So you're looking at the average. Yeah. And there's an example there that is given. Yeah? So assuming vertices can only pass messages or influence the existing connection, a low closeness means that a person is directly connected just one path away or one hop away. So it means it's a 1 degree. Yeah. So that closeness in itself is quite important, because it means then as people get closer, then you are able to start looking at the way even cells are clustered around specific actors. Then you have the agent vector centrality. I am sure you have done this before in your algorithms for analysis, and even as you look at the way data is clustered across, if you're doing the linear algebra thing. Yeah. So the agent vector in itself, it's a person with few connections that could have a very high centrality if all those connections are put together. So this also, again, is a statistical measure that is also calculated. It allows for those connections to have, for you to see that you are connecting to some vertices that has more benefit than connecting to others. So you find then that if you are to look at like a page rank that is actually used in Google search, sometimes you find this agent factor that is used to rank these pages. That is sites that are linking to your page. Then you find the quality of those pages that are linked onto that, and keeps on doing that, and so that the link in itself, the number of sites that are linked to it. So you find that the page rank algorithm, and I'm sure we've seen a lot of this when we are doing Google search, it actually uses the agent factor. And then you'll find sometimes if you're looking for a certain article or certain words in an article, you find the percentages that are closer to what you're looking for. It actually uses the agent vector centrality concept to do that. And then the other measure that you may find is the clustering coefficient that actually measures it measures the density of the 1.5 degree network for each vertex. Yeah. So that is also an important measure that is important in the tools that you shall be looking at. You will see some of the clustering coefficients brought up for you to understand this. Yeah. So if your friends don't know each other, then you have a low clustering coefficient. But if your friends know each other, then you have a high clustering coefficients. So you become that, you see that on the map they are dense. They are dense. Yeah. So of course the clustering is important, because in social media this is what now you start seeing as communities. So if they are clustered together, it means then they are a community of people who are interested in one thing, and so that's why they are having they're friends of friends with one another. So depending on the data that you access or the data of interest that you have interest in, then you can create reports about that data, or you can create reports about the subgroups, or you can compare, or you can search, depending on what it is that you are looking at. And so it brings out that really the value of the social network approach is for you who is researching on it to ask yourselves, what is this pattern on the relationships telling me about? Yeah. The patterns of the relationship. You're not looking at the volume. In contrast to the volumes, it's actually more of the patterns. What kind of relationships, or what kind, how can you actually compare different people with the relationships that they have in the groups that you're looking at? Yeah. So why should we bother about this um, social network analysis? Why should it bother us? Yeah, why should it bother us? So it should bother us because one of the things that we kept on asking is these platforms that were created for social media attention, or for us to interact with, are we seeing a shift on them being appropriated for businesses? And so we start seeing, analyzing this data, while it has been there for usages, for social usage, now we start seeing it that it is actually becoming applicable to a business application. There are those who actually carry out social network analysis on organizations for the purposes of optimizing maybe perhaps their supply chain. Now, in if we are looking at people, and we have been seeing this, one of the things that you will see is how can we use these data sets that we get from social media to apply them to our businesses. And so one of the things that people are using this data for is to look at product reviews. Yeah, so you can actually get data from users or from platforms and find out what is it that they are saying about your product. Yeah, so it's like looking at sentiment analysis about specific products. So you still are able to get this through looking at the social media platforms. You can also gain insights into markets and communities. So if you are able to figure out what these communities are interested in, what they are talking about, what kind of relationships they have, who is the pioneer, or who seems to be like the leader, and what are their interests. So maybe perhaps those persons are pursuing them because of specific interest. Then you gain insights to that community, and it becomes important for you as a business person if you want to market specific products. Yeah. Sometimes also it is if you are looking at companies or organizations and how they relate to one another, if maybe companies that seem to have a large audience, you may be interested to collaborate with them so that you also get access to their large audience. Remember the diffusion of innovation theory and the use of early adopters. Yeah, you have the innovators, and then you have the early adopters, and the way knowledge about the product or the innovation is passed through communication. So if you tie that to the role of social media and the way people communicate in social media, then you can see that it is a platform, or there are platforms that can actually render themselves usable for you to communicate new ideas through communities or through social networks of particular persons that are of interest to you, because you know the kind of network that they have behind their social media. So they play a role. They play a role in terms of e-commerce, where you are able to see even an analysis of recommendations. This is people who liked this book also like this. It's still part of analysis, analytics of social network data. So you are able to pick data: who bought this book, what else did they buy, people who watched this video also liked this other video, people who watched this movie also watched this other movie. And so you're able to see the recommendation being built across. I mean, it's allowed me to connect to power before the laptop goes off. So we can see the concept of viral marketing being applied in social media, and that it plays a key network. I mean, a key platform for diffusion of information, or for dissemination of information about a product. Maybe we can take a pause there and maybe ask ourselves, maybe just discuss, who are some of those persons you have seen being used by companies, and what kind of products are they actually being used to disseminate? Or who do you follow and what do they advertise? I'm wondering if I'm just alone here, or the rest of you are busy working on other things as I'm talking. Edwin, tell us something.
Okay, it's a little bit funny, but the other I used to follow a long time ago, but nowadays things have not been good for him. It's called Caliph Cairo.
Uh-huh.
So him, he had built a social media acceptance whereby he used to trend, like he can trend anytime. And a lot of people who are on Twitter, x.com, know him very well. He, every month or every week, he must trend at least once a day. And mainly what he does, he sells vehicles. So he has a showroom in Kiambu and Alingama. So what he does is he trends online. He does something to trend. Sometimes he can take a lady maybe out using a chopper. Then he starts trending. Everybody starts talking about him. Then in the process of people talking about him, because he has a large following, like 50,000 people will see his tweet in 1 hour. That is the time now he pushes now the vehicles in his yard. He starts now pushing the vehicles he's selling in the yard. So he's able to convince other sellers and people with other yards and people who are planning to sell their vehicles. He tells them that I have a large following on social media. I can trend, and then during the trending, I'll post your vehicle, and then I can guarantee you about 30,000 people will see your vehicle in 1 hour. Yeah, I don't know if it's still in the same context.
Yeah, it's still the same concept, because you see, it seems like he has the network, isn't it? But you said he's not the same again.
Okay, when you trend a lot on social media, you start attracting a lot of enemies, and then. But I think his idea was to attract people online, and then now associate it with the product he's selling. So he's pulling people online socially with something that will interest their attention, and then during the attention capture time, he now brings his product to
So
them.
he markets the product
Yeah,
once people come to his
wall.
page or to his wall.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else? Looks like only Bernard is in class today.
Yes, I remember Jugush. Jugush used to market financial services for Equity and Safaricom. Yeah, there's this comedian. I don't know whether you know him, but he's still on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So he used to market Equity Bank and the financial services. Someone can actually get a loan and all that.
Yeah, so is actually seen as somebody with a following, and so the bank I'm sure the bank was paying him, and even
Yes,
Edwin, I'm
yes,
sure
they
this
approached.
other guy was being paid by. They approach him, and because you have a following, they are able to pay you. But I don't know what the agreement in terms of payment terms. Maybe it's for a period, as long as you are doing the marketing for them. Thank you. Anyone else?
There's someone called Eric Omondi. He's a popular comedian. I've been
Eric,
following.
I know that one.
Yeah,
What
so
does he market?
so he has marketed a lot of stuff. Some of them is Faras, the cab company, and then over the weekend he was advertising. He was marketing something called Uwezo Tour and Travel, where he was doing what is it called? Like the WRS, where he was
The
using
safari ride.
yeah, where he had some car, even like posted on top of the car was on top of a tree, and then sometimes inside some river stream, just to advertise the Weather Tour and Travel can take you like anywhere you want or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I would ask for, maybe like for discussion, has anyone ever purchased or accrued a service that they did not know about but was actually advertised on social media? You didn't go searching for it, but as you are going through your social media, somebody was advertising something, and you were like, okay, actually, I think this is a good service. Yes, Edwin. Edwin, your hand was up.
There was a friend of mine. They had a really serious challenge. They were doing some construction somewhere, and then they could not finish the construction. So they had to go and get money from the bank, and then it was complicated. So they could not really get the money. So when I was on social media, I saw an advert from NCBA Bank where it was saying that they can give you a construction loan whereby if your structure, let's say, is about 50% or 80% or even 10%, they can finance the other portion for you. And then now when I introduced this information to this person, and then they went to NCBA and they actually confirmed it was actually true. They canceled all the other applications in all the other banks, and then they got financed and they completed their structure. So if it was not for social media, I would have never gotten that information.
Wow, that's interesting. There's actually a usefulness of these social media platforms. It's not just bad things that happen, on even good things happen on social media. How many of you actually buy books on social media? Have you ever bought books on social media? I mean, on Amazon or wherever, and then you get interested in a book, because you have seen it recommended on your platforms, or you have watched a movie because it has come, it's been recommended. Yeah, it's been recommended onto your timeline. Nobody has watched something because it has been just found them recommended on their timeline. Yes, Gregory.
Yes, I've on Netflix. I've watched documentaries and movies that have been recommended on my timeline
Yeah.
for me.
For you, yeah.
Say for you, yeah.
And did you find them interesting?
Yes, there are some of them. I must say some of them, because I think some were too similar to what I watched. So yeah.
So you will see then that a lot of businesses, even as they look into using these, technologies, they have to to learn how they can actually do some portions of marketing online. And sometimes it's not just the use of influencers, but also how they can actually optimize some of the. I think some people even pay for optimization of their words, so that as they are the search engines are crawling, key things are brought out so that they are recommended. So it is all you can see a lot of business going around on the internet or on these platforms that relates to what you have learned, to the artificial intelligence, the algorithms, and now we are learning about the social networks and the way that they are crawling all our information. Even if you are on LinkedIn, you will start seeing that depending on your profile, you start getting recommendations for a job, and maybe perhaps you're not even applying a job, or maybe you have just looked at a page, um, and they already know which page you have clicked on, and they start advertising and marketing jobs or marketing courses, whatever it is that they are marketing to you. So you see then that it's not just for social satisfaction in terms of socializing with my friends. More and more, the players or the owners of these platforms at the back end, they are also using emerging technologies to do business and still get new sources of revenue from their innovations. Yeah. So this is also some tools that are available for. It's not a complete list. I think these are just a sample of some of the networking tools that I got from one of the references, but there are also others like Python. You can still use Python libraries. You can use, I think there's also another platform called Kumu for doing social media, for doing social networking analytics. Yeah. So this is just an introduction on some of them and some of the features. Some are open source, some are you have to buy them. Yeah, some are embedded in some functionalities are actually embedded in tools that we are familiar with, like R. You can see there it has some packages that you can use for social network analysis. I think also Python. If you also think about, there's also another tool that we use a lot for qualitative data. It is called actually NVivo. NVivo and Atlas TI, they also have components that can actually do for you a little bit of some social networking analysis. Yeah. So these tools are important depending on what you want to analyze, or depending on what you are interested in. You may want to learn one of the tools. Yeah. So it's important just to understand that the network analysis makes it easy for us to see or to be able to see what is happening. So if, for example, we were to create or to analyze our own networks that we extract, what would we learn about ourselves, or what would we learn about our networks? Yeah. Is there something that we can learn? If you were to extract your Facebook data, what do you think you can discover? If you are to extract your YouTube data, what would you discover? If you have your YouTube data and your friend's YouTube data and another YouTube data, what is it that you discover? So it's just depending on the interests of one that is there. So of course, for you to mine this data, it means then you are looking at data sets. Sometimes they're also quite large data sets, and you need maybe perhaps to clean the data and be able to use that data. Yeah. So if you think about the techniques that you have learned a little bit, you know, you could actually do sentiment analysis, for example, on your friend's data or whatever. If you're able to access that data, you could actually research or realize uh, specific behaviors, especially for psychologists. Sometimes they are able to get behavioral inclinations of some people once they study their data. They can also just be able to provide web services for consumers, very personalized, like these recommendation things that we are talking about. So you find that you can actually use what you have learned, use those techniques to mine the data that is at your the data that you can access, or the data that you can also scrap from the web. Yeah. Does Kenya have a lot of open data? I don't think it has, and I think that has been one of the problems with with even enhancing AI in the country, because the data sets that people have either are not well curated really for trying to do this kind of things, but we will attempt just to do a small analysis for purposes of academic. Yeah. What are some of the things you do? You are able to see group detections in some of these data sets. You are also able to do group profiling, yeah, where you are able to look at a group and be able to understand what is really this group about, be able to find really usefulness of that group. Yeah. And typically it's either for marketing of your goods or the services, or for whatever ideas that you are looking to push into that community. Yeah. When you also look at a group, you are also trying to understand what groups does an individual belong to, and it can also help you learn about maybe some of the interests that individual belongs to. I don't know if this data is available, but I know, like, for example, on Facebook, you could actually belong to different groups. You might find you belong to a group of farmers, then you also maybe belong to a group, I think, a group that is interested maybe in construction, or a group that is interested in health issues, depending on what you are interested in. And it can actually give us an idea, either depending on the groups, what is it that is of interest to you as a person. So that is also important if we are able to get this information. Um, Really, it's not like the way it was, you could get a lot of data. But nowadays, I think the last time I tried to access data, you could only access data for yourself. Yeah, you could only access data for yourself. And of course, we know about recommendation systems. It's very important. These are some of the usefulness of this. Yeah. And we have seen the usefulness of some of these recommendations. This is a repetition. I'm sure you know about this from your AI class, classification, how to use regression, association, being able to discover between various databases, the associations, being able to see prediction using regression, being able to classify data and all those other things. Those are some of the data mining techniques. And of course, being able to cluster. Yeah. So all these are part of things that I think you've already learned, but now we are bringing them to social media, to the social media networks for purposes of trying to see how then you can, what is it that you can find from your own data sets. So in this particular one here, we are actually looking at this was a presentation on just what algorithms are used, and looking at some of the algorithms that are available, some of them that you have learned, like the k-means. I think the linear regression has been quite common. I don't know if you've done a little bit of support vector machine or even the Bayesian networks and how they have been used in social networks. So you can see here the percentages. Yeah, and you can see, I think the support vector machine has taken quite a chunk, 22%, and then the Bayesian network algorithm taking 20%. Yeah. And then the artificial neural network. I don't know if this was in 2019. I don't know if this data has changed, but this is what I had then. So you will see then even that in some of these tools, they have algorithms already embedded in them. Yeah, embedded in them, and you can actually display your data picking on a specific algorithm that you want to display your data. I think I saw that in this the tool Gephi. If it's not Gephi, it's Node Excel that had various algorithms for displaying the network that you created. So we will have some group work where you can use whatever platform you want to use, where we try and do scraping of data, get access to your data on whichever social media platform that you want to. And then if maybe perhaps I think there are those groups where you have each one of us is in a group of about 5 people. If each person brings their own data, depending on what data you agree on, what is it that we can talk about? What does it say? Do we find you are related to somebody else in terms of your friends to your friends, and you didn't know that you are common friends or mutual friends, things like that. So I will not dictate in terms of the social media platform, and I will not dictate in terms of the tool that you use. Those of you who are good in R or good in Python, the sense of this is to be able to see what kind of social media metrics that you have, and being able to understand the structure of the social data that you will have generated. And at the end of it all, you'll have actually done a short form of ETL. Yeah, ETL, where you are able to source for data, extract the data, translate the data, load the data for analysis, and then use whichever tool that you are comfortable with to create social network and be able to see some of those matrices that are of interest to on social media data. Yeah. So I will upload the assignment for that. That will be going on even as we continue with the other learning. So it will be, we will not stop so that you do this assignment, but we will continue with the other tasks as we do this assignment. I think we will give it maybe about it should not overlap with another assignment because we will have an assignment on I think we'll have another assignment on what do you call these ones? Digital economy. Yeah, we'll have another assignment on digital economy. So what we will do is tomorrow we will not have the class, but for tomorrow, research work to do in terms of the web, just the evolution of the web, and also agreeing how you're going to tackle this mini project of analyzing your own social media data. And then I can say Alex is very happy he will not come to school.
No, still have to come to school. There's another class and talk, so we are still to come.
Oh, okay, but you didn't want to come today.
Yeah, today we have floods everywhere.
Where is this that has flood? I haven't heard of news about floods.
For
So
me,
yeah, so tomorrow, yes, Edith.
Maybe you can answer it later on, but I wanted to ask you about the data. What kind of data you want us to access?
For example, if you picked Facebook data, it's just an example. Yeah. It depends with what you want to explore. Again, be creative. Do you want to explore data? I don't know now, because you see, they have been, because of this data protections, data protection, a lot of social media have made it hard to scrape data, unless you guys know how to scrape the data. I don't know. Yeah, but I know that like for myself now, if I wanted any data on Facebook, I can't get data about my friends. I can only get data about who are my friends. You see, I can't get data about my friends' activities or my friends liking about other things and all that. So there's been a little bit of curtailing. So a lot of social media platforms collect different types of data. So if maybe, for example, you are interested in seeing the relationships, like how many friends you have in common, how would that map out? It would mean that you get your data and your other group in your group gets their data, and then you consolidate that data. Yeah, you consolidate that data. So just if you give me a minute, I should be able to see if I don't know if I still have the Node Excel example that I had. I think I may have deleted it. I normally delete and uninstall these things after. If I have it or I installed them, the platform. I installed. Just allow me a few minutes, I check on something. Okay, I have an Excel window here and I'm not seeing it. I can't see it under my share. Yeah. So you can see what I'm sharing, yeah? Yeah, so this is just a small it's just 18 entries, only just 18 entries, where it is showing I've picked out myself, I've picked out a few of my friends, some are real, some are not real, and so you can see how the network looks like here. You can see how the network looks like here. All the connections to do with Agnes are actually in red color. If I wanted, I could actually add, refresh the layout and put in names, yeah, so that we are able to see them. Of interest maybe would be these matrices. You can see it is undirected, there are no directions. They are there are 12 there are 12 points or 12 actors. There are no self loops. Yeah. The maximum vertices in a connected component are 12. The distance is there. The geodesic distance is calculated. Yeah. Some of the matrices may not show because maybe it is um, a free value. You can see like this one's the in degree and the out degrees. They are not there because of course it is not directed. Yeah, but if we change them to be directed, maybe perhaps we could see a few things. Now this is just a try I was looking at using this Node Excel, which is a free, but it doesn't have all the functionalities. Yeah. So you can see my data set is not sufficient to create any meaningful information. Yeah, it's not sufficient to create anything meaningful. Yeah. But if you got data from real social media platforms, then maybe perhaps we'll be able to see different things. So you can see here, I need to maybe perhaps graph options. Need to remember where I should need to add the names so that we can actually see them with the names. Yeah. If they identify